All right, everyone. Thank you so much for showing up. I am Everly Alexander, the interim director of the APEX department, which stands for Applied Practice, Experience, and Career Services. Welcome to Career Services Peak Week, y'all. We're kicking it off. We're kicking it off with a wonderful workshop. I hope that this workshop will be extremely helpful to you. We are going to talk about everything that comes with the job search. Just the job search in general. I know right now things are a little up in the air when it comes to the job market, and so I hope a lot of these tips, a lot of these cheat codes will help you move through the job search. Feel free to take yourselves off of mute. I think I've made everybody, or as people are coming in, I am making it so that you're able to talk. If you have a question, feel free to put it in the chat or feel free to ask it off of mute. There will be a question and answer section towards the end. Hi, Mary. Welcome in. Um, all right, guys, and this will be recorded. So if you have to jump off for whatever reason, we will have it on our website. I'll send the information out to everyone once it's over. Okay? All right. Well, let's get started. We're going to talk about landing the job you want, even when everything feels uncertain. Now, I'm not going to stay in these slides for too long. I plan to make today a very interactive day. I want to show you some of the tools and softwares that I've used over the course of years that I feel like are very helpful to anybody's job search. But today's goal, we're going to understand how to approach your job search strategically. We're not going to just throw wet noodles at the wall and hope they stick anymore. We're going to be intentional about how we search for a job. We're not sitting in one chair and applying for 10 roles either in one day. We're going to take it and be very strategic. And I'm going to teach you how to do that today. You are going to learn how to use certain career tools, and we'll talk about a little more about what those are. And I'm going to give you some clear next steps that if you are in a position of looking for a role, whether that is in public health or if you're deciding to use your public health background and transition elsewhere, all of these tips and tricks work in any industry, in the job market in general. Okay? All right, so let's get into it. Um, we are in a very unpredictable job market, as you all know. Okay, so one of the biggest things that I feel helps a lot of people is when you know what you can control. We cannot control the job market, but you can control how you show up. You can control the narrative that you'd like for employers to see. You can control the clarity. You can utilize the tools, and you can actually start to network and build that momentum that you need sometimes in order to get that call back or that feedback to say, hey, yeah, come on in. Let's have a chat. Let's interview. Um, I do want to make it so that you have an ecosystem to follow, right? So, in order to be intentional about any type of job search, and in my background, I've done over 4,000 resumes in 40 plus industries. And anybody who's met with me, they get this kind of one-on-one. Feel free to schedule any appointments. But we want to have clarity. What I hear a lot of times when people visit me is, well, I don't know what I want, or I just want to get into anything, or right now I just need a job, which is fine. That's okay. All of those things could be true, but sometimes what that shows up as it looks like you are all over the place, and someone who is looking at you who doesn't know you, and when they're looking at your story, which is your resume or how you've presented yourself, they may not be exactly clear on where you want to go. So we want to have clarity. What roles fit you? That's based on your skill set. That's based on your passions. That's based on where you see yourself and how you can then get to those skill sets if you don't feel like you have them in your wheelhouse. We want to have discovery. Where are those opportunities coming from? Are they coming from LinkedIn? Are they coming from the actual source, which is the website? Or were you referred, or did you network with someone? Were you at a conference? Did those job opportunities come from those different places? You do want to pay attention to where where job opportunities come from. Sometimes the easiest routes right now would be places like LinkedIn. And we'll go into a little bit about how to do that on LinkedIn if you're not already doing that. Positioning yourself, you want to show up the way you want people to see you. So this is huge because it isn't as clear it isn't a clear message for everyone. Everyone shows up the way that, like, let's say you're in a particular role right now. A lot of times people show up as their job title. When oftentimes what you want to show up is where you want to go. So if you want to go and you're not in public health right now, but you know, hey, I've got some skill sets, you know, maybe I want to be in project management, maybe I want to be in coordination. You want to show up in that way so that the people that are looking for those roles or looking to hire for those roles will see you as a fit. So you want to position yourself. You also want to position yourself with networking, whether that's virtually or in person, by coming to a lot of the events that we're hosting here on campus. This is the great week because we have a lot of employers who are going to be in the building, especially on Thursday. I think we have over 16. So you do want to position yourself. You do want to get those cards. You do want to have those connections. You do want to send those emails. And so today we'll talk about how you can do that. And then, of course, connections, just like we talked about. You want to make those connections. All right, so let's jump right into it. Now, let's put some things in the chat. Let's get some people moving. Hi, Reggie. Yes, this will be recorded, honey. You'll see it on the website. I'll send it out because I know you have to leave at 12:45. Thanks for letting me know. You're welcome. All right. So, has anybody ever heard of JobScan? Let's put in the chat. Who's heard of JobScan? And I know the people who's met with me, you probably already have, but has anybody heard of JobScan or know what it is? Okay, no, never, not me. All right, cool. Whoa, it's a lot of notes. All right, well, let's talk about what it is. All right, now let me ask one more question. Have you heard of an applicant tracking system? Yes. Okay. No. Okay. So what's next? Let's talk about first of all what an applicant tracking system is. An applicant tracking system, you may hear people say, "Well, what is that AI resource that companies use?" Well, applicant tracking systems are not AI. They are a human resource software. They've always been around, okay? And all that it does is it filters exactly who applied for the role and how it compares to the job description. And a lot of that tends to come from the match of the job, match of the skills that are in the job description based on what you have on your resume. Okay, this is the gatekeeper. About 90% of companies use applicant tracking systems. If you don't know that, now you do. Thank me later because this is going to change the game for you. There gone are the days of a resume just getting directly into the recruiter's hands, right? A recruiter may have 1,000 applicants. They may have 1,000 applicants, 200 applicants, 500 applicants for one role that they're trying to fill, and maybe they have to fill 10 roles. So you also want to keep that in mind. Their recruiters are not looking at every last application. They're not looking at every last resume. They're looking at who fits the bill, right? And an applicant tracking system has already done the filtering. It has already done a lot of the sifting through to figure out who kind of funnels to the top, right? So JobScan is your prep tool. It acts like your applicant tracking systems. Now, I am going to go into a little geeky nerd moment, so bear with me. I won't be too long with it. Let me tell you how JobScan is very accurate. So I've been using JobScan for over 10 years. It's been on the market for maybe 10 or 15 years and is one of the top, actually the top in the nation, to prep yourself before you actually apply for a role. Um, what JobScan does is it compares a multitude of applicant tracking systems in the nation. Some of the top ones, Taleo, Workday, Greenhouse, Guidehouse, all those types of things. They are top, applicant tracking systems that are used by a multitude of companies, thousands of companies. And they pull information from those companies to build this particular software. So they are very accurate. I think I got a question last week of how is this different than ChatGPT? Why can't ChatGPT help me? We'll get into a little bit about what you should use ChatGPT for. ChatGPT is not going to necessarily pull the accurate job skill sets because it doesn't have those funnels. It has website funnels. It funnels from websites. It doesn't funnel from actual software like applicant tracking systems. So JobScan is one of those ones that I always recommend to anybody that I'm working with or talking to. It compares your resume to the job descriptions. It pulls out the skill sets. It identifies the missing keywords that you need to have on your resume, and it improves your alignment so that you are not losing your voice. Sometimes people feel like resumes are very stuffy and sticky and professional sounding, and they can be. And they feel like you feel like you can't really truly be yourself. JobScan literally plucks all of that away and shows you exactly what is needed in order to apply for the job. So let's go into JobScan, you guys. Okay, and it's not going to take long at all. I am going to go in here for you and I'm going to show you. So once you're in JobScan, and by the way, I'm going to place the website in the chat for everyone, just in case you want to go along with me. If you're interested, you can sign up for a free account if you'd like to. There is another website called Cultivated Culture. I'm putting that one in the website or in the chat as well, but that's a little more free. I have tried a lot of resume scanners over my years, and JobScan, while JobScan is the top, I feel that Cultivated Culture comes just a little bit closer and it has a lot more free scans if you're not interested in investing in JobScan. We also have a few things on campus that you can utilize as well. If you meet with me and we do an appointment, we could talk about what those are as well. But let's say, okay, you're on JobScan, you found a job. I'm going to pull up a mock role that I have. I'm going to show you what I'm working with here so you can see what we're doing. So I'm going to just pull up this mock job application or job description from Deloitte, right? I'm going to literally copy and paste. I'm going to show you what that looks like. Pull that over here. We're going to do a new search or a new scan. You are going to paste the job description here. Okay. And then I have a mock resume. I'm going to show you my mock resume. Mock resume here. Nothing major, just for the heck of the example here. I'm going to pull it in for you. Maybe I make sure I copied the right thing. So you can see everything, and it doesn't matter how you copy and paste it. You just want to copy and paste it, and then you're going to hit scan. And what you're then going to get into is what applicant tracking systems actually do. They score your resume, they score your document, right? So you'll see right here you have a match rate. This match rate is extremely important for a lot of companies. Imagine big companies like Deloitte. How do we funnel through those companies? How do we get in companies like CBC? How do we get into those major companies that have thousands and thousands and thousands of applicants at any given time, right? We prep ourselves because we can control this aspect, right? Match rate is at 42. Now, JobScan will give you tips along the way. And when you're in JobScan, you want to try to get this match rate up to 75% or higher. That is equivalent to you being a high impact candidate or a candidate that seems like you are a great fit for the role when you apply for the role, right? I wouldn't necessarily apply with a 42% because as you can see, it's in the gray, and gray means it's very low. Yellow, you'll see this yellow bar means you're getting close, and green means this is exactly where you want to be. So it's very user friendly, I would say. It will start with searchability, and it's going to tell you everything based on importance. Searchability is important, just like with any kind of software. We want to be able to search you up, right? I want to know where what if you're a good fit for the role, and if you are a good fit for the role, let me see why. And that's going to be based on these skills. So searchability is big, right? You want to make sure you have the most important pieces, contact information. You do want to have a professional summary. I see all too often people coming to me more and more having that professional summary section removed. That doesn't help your applicant tracking system, and it diminishes your searchability. It gives you a scopable framework, or gives a recruiter a scopable framework to say, okay, this is everything that I needed to know about Taryn. If Taryn was applying for the role, if I just wanted to do a quick search. Now, some people don't read the professional summary, but applicant tracking systems do count that. So you do want to have a professional summary. You want to have the proper section headings, which is professional summaries, skills, professional experience, education, certifications, those type of things. You do want to have a job title match. Now, here is the biggest thing that people miss the most, right? So on resumes, what I normally see is I see a resume that looks like this. There's nothing wrong here, right? But I'll see something that says public health professional. It's not bad, but you want to actually utilize the job title that you're applying for because it gives you more points in the applicant tracking system, right? And recruiters can then tie you directly to that role. A lot of recruiters get so many resumes and applications where people are like, tell me which role I apply for again. Which one is this? Oh, I didn't really want that. I wanted the other one. They get that a lot. So it's a big deal to have the proper job title, and it has to be verbatim. Those words, you want those words to actually match. That's big. So you'll see that the actual title is public health consultant. That's not on the resume. So you want to make sure that it's on the resume, right? Date formats are correct. Education is fine, right? Now, here is the meat and potatoes. If you didn't think about anything up here and you don't do anything else in JobScan, the high score impact for your hard skills is what matters. How I describe a hard skill and a soft skill. A hard skill is, imagine if somebody could say, "Hey, I want to test you on this skill right now. Can you show it to me?" If you can show it to them, that's a hard skill, right? A soft skill is an accompanying skill. So if you can handle project management, okay, say you're going into a project management role or you're applying for a project management role. In order to be in project management, you have to be collaborative. You have to have communication. You have to have some type of leadership, right? Leadership, communication, collaboration, those are soft skills, right? So you'll see soft skills down here. Okay, they're a medium score impact. What I see on a lot of public health resumes is a lot of soft skills and not enough hard skills to draw that impact that you need to bring this score up. Does that make sense? So we want to have as many hard skills as you can. Now, don't get confused. Now, just because they have a hard skill on here does not mean you put it on your resume. If you have that skill set, whether it's a basic skill set, very minimum skill set, and you have it in any capacity or can showcase it in your bullet points at any rate, then you can place that on your resume. The best place to adjust these skills would be right here. Let me pull this back up. Would be your core skills. This is the best place to put hard skills. Majority of recruiters are going to go straight here to a resume. So let's just say you get past the applicant tracking system, they're going straight here. You're not reading the rest of it. Your resume's got to be a 2-page maximum, right? They're not typically reading the rest of it. They don't have time. They're giving you a 10-second overview, and they need to see what they need to see pronto. So you want to make sure that those hard skills that they'd like to see, that you're able to solve problems in a variety of ways. The reason that you should be looked at or how you're positioning yourself would be right in this area. Most people put their skills on the second page or at the bottom of their resume. If it's not here as the second layer or the third section, you want to move it up. Okay, we always want to move the things that we know that people want to see up further in advance. Okay. So you'll see we have a lot of red X's. The red X's mean I don't have this on the resume that I copied and pasted. Okay. Let's say I do have analytics in my background. I'm going to take analytics and I'm going to put it in here just for time's sake. I'm going to put it as a bullet point. All right, I'm going to put it as a bullet point just for time's sake. Okay. You'll see other things in here as well that's needed. The good thing about JobScan, what I like, outside of them showing you the skills that's mentioned on the resume and how many times it's mentioned on the resume compared to, I'm sorry, on the job description compared to your resume, what I like about it is it has this tip. Let me see if I can find the tips for you. They have this ATS tip. The ATS tip, if JobScan has, or if your company or the company that you're applying for has a very well-known applicant tracking system, JobScan will be able to pull that, or if that information has been made known, right? Then JobScan will be able to tell you this company uses Workday. Workday looks at frequency. They'll give you this information. Workday will look at frequency. So how many times are those keywords mentioned on your resume? Most applicant tracking systems don't look at frequency. They look at the actual word. So if you have this word written out verbatim, that's what majority of applicant tracking systems care for. But there are some applicant tracking systems that look at frequency. They'll also tell you in this ATS tip how to save your document so that it shows up in the applicant tracking system software. So there's a certain kind of way. It tells you so many things. And the more you know, the more you can control. So the more you're able to boost your score, the better results tend to come from that on the opposite end. Okay. So hard skills is what we're looking for. I'm going to put a few. Let's just say you're somebody who has all these skills. You're like, I looked at it, I have it. Pay attention to how they're worded in here, right? So you can click on it and see how it's worded inside of a job description to determine if that is something that you actually need, or are they just listing it? Maybe this is a part of a criteria or sorts, and this is not something that I actually need. Maybe I actually have one of the words that's in the criteria, but not this in particular. Let's just say that you have all the words. JobScan has made it so that you can copy all, and you can place it on your resume. So I think I hit that copy all. I'm not going to put it so cleanly into the bullets. I'm just going to put it down here for the heck of our meeting today. And then I'm going to recopy everything just so you can see what that does to the job description. I'm sorry, to JobScan. Okay. And all I did was copy the hard skills. I haven't copied the soft skills. Their medium score impact. If you have them, I would say if you have some soft skills, blend them into your professional summary. That's the best way to do those. All right. I'm going to copy in, and you see these words here at the bottom. We're not going to get quite at 100% because I didn't copy every last thing, but I'm getting ready to show you how that boosts your score. The higher the score, the better results. So this boosts the score from 42 to 87 with just these hard skills. That's a big difference. That's a big difference. If we need only 75 and we got an 87, and let's just say you actually have these skill sets, these are actually things that you can speak to in an interview, if you're asked, and you're not, just making stuff up just to try and get an interview, then I would say you could go ahead and apply. Okay, maybe you haven't found a way to figure out how to put the soft skills in. Maybe you do have problem solving skills, but you're kind of figuring out, how do I add that in a sentence? What do I do in this bullet? And you can't really quite figure out how to do that. Well, ChatGPT can help you with that, but we'll talk a little bit more in detail about what that looks like. But if you have a 75% or higher, then I would go ahead and apply. The things that you can control is this. You can control this. This is positioning your resume for the job description. You're speaking the language of the job description. You're not saying anything else. You're speaking the language because you have the right skills. Okay? Skills speak the language of the job description. If you don't have those skills, you're not speaking the language and your scores are not high enough in the applicant tracking systems. Stay away from those pretty little templates on Canva, those resume templates. Those will automatically reject your resume in an applicant tracking system. Applicant tracking systems can't read those templates. And I know if let me tell you why. Those templates use text boxes, tables, they put things in headers and footers, and applicant tracking systems can't read anything that's in a header or a footer. So if you're looking at your resume right now and your contact information is in your header, take it out your header and put it on the actual page, okay? Because if you submit a resume, and I've seen it often where people have submitted their resumes, and I'm looking, I'm like, well, dang, you know, your contact information, your name and contact information is all in your header. It's coming over as a no name, no contact type of resume. And those resumes get automatically rejected. So if I'm saying some things and you have some text boxes and tables, or you have a picture on your resume, take those things out, make it plain, make it simple. We can beautify it. If you want to work with me to beautify it, I can show you different tips on how to make it beautiful behind the scenes so you can have something that stands out in color and pop and impact, but make it simple. It needs to read from left to right. Applicant tracking systems only read from left to right. Even things that are in columns will get placed in a list. It'll automatically prompt them and take them out of the columns. Okay. So JobScan is your first go-to. I would always recommend. Now here's the difference. When you're in Chat GPT, so here's what people kind of get confused, right? Chat GPT is for clarifying, translating. To me, it's for productivity. It makes things quicker. Um, there are a lot of places and spaces who are kind of honing in on using AI, but not in the resume world. So, for instance, I'm going to go back into this resume, and I'm going to pull this, right? This is how I would use ChatGPT to adjust a resume. I'm going to copy and paste. Now, here's what you can do. You can do so. ChatGPT is AI, and if you all have never used it, it doesn't make things fake. It doesn't just start adding things in there unless you tell it to. It will only operate the way that you're telling it to operate. So if you're whatever you're inputting in the system, it will output. So I will say this, and this is important because your prompts actually help ChatGPT to deliver the exact thing that you're desiring, right? So let's just put this. I'm creating a resume based on this. Uh-oh. Let's say based on this job description. You don't have to spell correctly. It'll figure it out. I'm creating a resume resume. So I'm going to then put a colon, and then I'm going to paste the job description. We'll go all the way down. And then I'm going to say, here is my resume. You can do that too. Or if you have your resume, you could literally just add it as a file, right? So just for today's example, I'm going to copy and paste. All right. Then I will go in here, and I'm not going to copy the words because I'm going to show that to you in another step. Did I make sure that I did that? I did. Yeah, okay. There we go. So I'm going to let ChatGPT do its work, do its thing. And of course, it's going to give you all of the great things on great elevation, great dude. This is going to be great to target. This is how you should target it, right? Going to tell you exactly what you need to do. And you're going to see that it starts to pull things directly from your job description, which you can't see here, but you'll be able to see that it pulls it. It's going to adjust your core competencies, is going to adjust and spell out a little bit more, give you a little bit more body into your bullet points. And of course, it's giving you some options as well, some certifications, because I think that mock job description was looking for a PMP. Um, and it tells you why the version works, right? But if you're like, I feel like my resume looks good, I just want to know how to put those keywords that I pulled from JobScan up, right? All right, so let's do this. Sprinkle. This is my little way. Sprinkle these keywords strategically into my resume. All right. That's the way I say it. And where did I put those keywords for us? So here are those keywords, right? I want to find a way to sprinkle them in. Maybe your resume is already at the 2 page mark. You don't want to go to 3. You need to create some space. And you like some of the core skills that are up here, or you just don't want this area to be too long, right? But you want to make sure that the applicant tracking system is picking that up throughout the resume. This is the way that I would tell ChatGPT. So I would then take the skills that we copied and paste from JobScan. I would place them here. And you may have to play with it a little bit, just like anything in ChatGPT, just to get it exactly where you like. But you'll start to see that it will place them in areas, and they're bolding it for us so that we can see that, which is really, really good. It still gives us a professional summary. It adjusts your core competencies are a little bit longer, which is fine. It's not bad. And then it still blends them and sprinkles them in your bullet points here, as you can see. So that's a really good way to sprinkle the job or the key skills, keywords into your resume without overdoing it. Of course, read it, make sure it sounds right, make sure that is something that you can speak to. Remember, don't use skills that you don't have at least the basic knowledge of, because they may want to talk more in depthly about it. And also, too, I've been in on varieties of sides, right? I've been interviewed, I've been an interviewer, and you can tell when someone's making something up. You can tell when somebody has pulled their resume from ChatGPT. You can tell a lot of different things. This is just to help you get a feel of what it could look like for you. Okay. So that's how I would use ChatGPT. I'm going to pause here and see if anybody has any questions about ChatGPT and JobScan. And you could place it in the chat, or you could take yourself off of mute. I think you all have the option to do so. If not, we'll move forward. All right.
Um,
Oh,
One question. I was just
yes.
scanning through this resume you have posted. So you have professional summary, core skills, and then what's the next? How should it be? Oh, professional experience, and then education certificates. Okay,
Mhm.
thank you.
Yes, so you can your order can vary a little bit, but I will once this is all over, you'll also get the PowerPoint to this, and it'll have a preferred order in there for you as well as an example.
And with the
So
okay, thank you. And with the
you're welcome.
professional summary, what are some tips? You said mostly put your soft skills there. Should it
So you
should it be
can,
generic or
yes,
specific to the job? Like how
specific to the job.
specific to
Yep.
the
So
okay.
here's the thing. Everybody assumes that you use the same resume every time you apply for a role. That is not the case. Please,
Mm.
please, please adjust your resume every time. Create a general resume and build from that resume. So let's just say, for in this particular example, let's just say this is a general resume that I created for myself, right? But now I want to apply for that public health consultant role with Deloitte. I know that I'm going to need to change these skill sets up a bit. I know I need to probably change this up to kind of fit what Deloitte is looking for to showcase my skill sets and kind of so they can see how you blend together. You won't always need to change your bullet points because sometimes your bullet points are what they are. But if you feel led to change your bullet points in your role, then I would. If you're applying for a role that is a higher role, like say for instance you're a coordinator, but you're applying for a manager role, or you're a manager applying for a director role, they may want to see supervisory experience. They may want to see things that you've been able to lead, tasks you've been able to drive. And if that isn't worded in your bullets, then you want to adjust your bullets points to read like a manager or somebody who is a leader would. Okay. Bullet points are only made for impact. Okay. Impact, impact, impact. And we'll talk more about impact in a little bit. But overall, you don't want to put just duties. I don't want to just put, well, I was the program evaluator, or not I coordinated the program evaluation team, and I'm just thinking of a bullet point, and that's not really much. But you may say coordinated program evaluation team, embodying 15 team members. That number draws impact. It allows someone to see you in the scope of work that you're doing. If you have any words that are plural, activities, databases, programs, try to find a number that fits with this. So if you drove programs and not program, then say how many. There are companies who if you're responsible or you do a lot of work for not just one program, but three programs, say three programs, maybe specify what those programs are. Get a little more into the weeds. Specificity drives any resume. Drives any resume. So if you find that your resume is in a place where you are just talking about your day-to-day duties, or it feels like a job description, then you want to come see me. Come see me so we can adjust it all together, make an appointment and elevate, and we will make sure together that we will make your bullet points stand out for what employers want to see. Okay? All right. So let's move on to the next thing. All right. So we've got job scan out the way. We've got Chat GPT out the way. You all are familiar with Elevate. We'll talk about Elevate lastly, but I really want to dive into LinkedIn. Now, in the chat, who is networking on LinkedIn? And if you're networking on LinkedIn, say me or not me. Let me know. Or maybe you don't know how to network because I'm going to teach you. Who's networking on here? Yes, not me. I think. Okay, cool, kind of. All right. Well, so we kind of gotten some mixed ones, not active, but I have sporadically. Awesome, awesome. Okay. So LinkedIn is something that can really, 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 really change your trajectory. There's one thing in the way of job searching and being intentional and being strategic. There's one thing that is the key. It is networking. If you are, and I'm going to break this down into different buckets, but if you're somebody who I've seen a lot of people who feel like they're very introverted, right? And they are a little timid when reaching out to someone, or you're not necessarily sure how to reach out to someone. LinkedIn is actually one of those good ways to do that, simply because you can send a DM, you can send a message. You don't have to be in a room at a conference or at a networking event per se, where you're already kind of uncomfortable in a setting that tends to make people uncomfortable in most regards if it's professionally based, where you're not able to show up your full self. LinkedIn is one of those places where you can actually show up as your full self. I always tell people the notion of shooting your shot, right? You, in this world, in this life, you have to shoot your shot, especially when it comes to your job. Some people struggle with imposter syndrome, or they don't feel like they're good enough or qualified enough. But I will say, even through that, still shoot your shot. So LinkedIn is one of those places that you can literally create the narrative. So when we talk about positioning ourselves, what do we want to show up as? How do we want people to see us? My LinkedIn page is going to be a little different because I do a lot of different things, but your LinkedIn page could be just a simple basic LinkedIn page. You want to have a header that speaks to who you are. You want to speak to the skill sets that you possess, some key points that you want someone to know about you. You do want to tell people what to do when they get to your page, like the check me out factor. I know that's cheesy, but I've done quite a few LinkedIn optimizations, and if you don't tell people what you want them to do when they get to your page, they won't. They won't, okay? Followers don't necessarily matter. Just so that you know, followers don't matter. Your connections are everything. Okay, your connections puts you in front of those people that that need to see someone like you. Maybe somebody in their network is hiring, and because you posted, or because you're active on LinkedIn, they saw you on their friends page, and now they're reaching out to you. So I would say the connections are everything. The followers are nothing. Don't worry about those. Those are people who just want to look and lurk, right? But the connections are the people that can actually take you somewhere if you decide to tap in. Right? You do want to have an about section. LinkedIn is a social media platform, so it is going to obviously be different than Instagram and Facebook and TikTok and all of those things, but out of all of those social medias platforms, engagement is key. LinkedIn is engaging friendly, is engagement friendly, basically. So you want your words to be engaging. You want to sound like you're speaking to someone directly. You don't want it to be mundane or it reads like it's in third person. You don't necessarily want it to read like your resume per se. Talk about the things that you've made an impact doing, whether that's in your professional life, in your personal life. All those things matter because when you are hiring someone or when an employer is hiring someone, not only do they want you to be a good fit skill wise, but they look at those people skills. They look at your soft skills. They look to see impact that you've made outside of work. They look to see if you're a cultural fit. Those are big, big factors. Also, things that you can't control, but you can control how you show up, right? So there is a featured section. If your featured section is not turned on, turn it on. You can turn it on. Turn it on and post something. Post a portfolio. If you're somebody on this call and you're in APE and you're getting ready to be done with your project, post your APE project. Post your publication. Let people know how to click on things for you. If you made a post and it did really well, I did a post, it did really well. Obviously, people needed to know about it. Put it in your featured section so that people know, hey, this is something that could help you too if you missed it, even if it was a year ago, even if it was 2 years ago. Any awards, anything that you want anybody to see about you, place it in your feature section. This builds your social proof, if you will. This is your social proof, right? If you post, your post will be here. I don't think that you have to post on LinkedIn. I think, if you do post, just make sure that you are keeping things that are very professional. Hey, just looking for a job. Somebody can literally go into your comments and say just posting for or commenting for extra reach. That extra reach means they may have a big following, right? I have 8,400 followers, right? They may have a big following who those people, imagine that's one person, that's 8,400 people who are connected in some regards, who have their own following, who have their own connections. And once you post, those people can now see you because they're connected to that person. That's the beauty of how LinkedIn works. So you want to show up actively. You want to have your experience. You want to have all your experience on here. The last 10 years is the best. Your education and your skill sets are important. And any recommendations that anybody gives you, if you have them, go ahead and flaunt that, right? That's a big deal because it not only gives you the reader proof that you are who you say you are, but these people can reach out. Anybody can reach out to these people and say, "Hey, I see how I see Evelia, and I'm looking at her for this role, and I would love to talk to you more about what you all worked with. I see that you had a great review about her and exactly, whatever you want to say, but." That is also very, very helpful. If you are in a position to give a recommendation, give a recommendation too. Give those recommendations out to your coworkers coworkers, to your managers. Have your managers do the same for you. Have your coworkers do the same for you. That just amplifies everything that you've placed on LinkedIn. Okay, that's one thing. But when you're networking, we really, really, really want to go in here. I'm going to show you something. Let's say we want to work for the CDC, just because we're talking public health. And that's the first thing that's coming to mind, right? I want to show you when I type in CDC, you'll see a few different bubbles up here. If you are in the process of networking, click on people, right? I don't have a job or I don't see a job, but I know I want to network with people who work at the CDC, right? Click on those people. Start to see who's there, right? People who are currently or previously at CDC. You can connect with these people. You could literally do, let's see, uh, let's type in, let's type in CDC talent acquisition and see what pops up. Let's see. Yeah. So now I'm connecting directly to the people who are human resource people, right? These people work in human resource in some capacity at the CDC. You'll obviously have to click on their page to see what they're doing, right? And she's a specialist, right? She might not be hiring, but she might. You never know, right? One thing I like about the premium side of LinkedIn, LinkedIn is they've changed their platform now, so it's everything is not as free as it used to be. When you do pay for the premium, I get the question, why premium? Because premium allows you to see who's actively hiring if they've turned that on their profile, right? So if just say, I don't know, I just show results of who's hiring. These are the people from the CDC that are hiring, right? These are now one thing is you can connect with these people. You can connect, you can follow, you can do all those types of things if you want to. If they connect back with you, then you can send them a message and begin to talk to them. Um, if you see somebody on here and you can't find a contact for them or they haven't connected back with you, but you really, really want to talk to them, then I want to introduce you to Hunter. Hunter.io. Hunter is a game changer. It's going to change your life. Why? Because you can pull people's email addresses. Now, preface, everybody's email address is not on Hunter, especially government healthcare sites or healthcare organizations, those types of things. They don't typically release those email addresses. They're not as public. But for certain companies, they are. So let's just say you want to work at the CDC Foundation. You will go here. Hunter.io is free. You get 50 credits every month. That's one credit per email. So you can pull 50 emails a month if you want to. You can verify that the email address is correct if you want to. Let's say we want to do this because this is probably the easier one. We'll go here. We'll type in CDC Foundation and we're going to hit search. We're going to pull. You'll see over here that CDC Foundation has found 254 emails, right? Let's see if we can find the people right here. Okay. People, decision makers, and then generic, right? So let's say I want to find some generic, some decision makers. I can reveal for one of my credits. And here's the website. Okay. You can verify, I'm sorry, not the website, the email address. You can verify that this email is correct. And once it is, it takes like a half of credit, not a lot of credit. And then it gives you this green check mark to say that this email is accurate. And if you email this person, it would not bounce back. Now, this is just a way this is all a part of your job search strategy, right? So if you've applied for the role, right, you have found that person on LinkedIn, you know that they're actively hiring, you may have reached out to them on LinkedIn. This is just another way to find that active person hiring. on LinkedIn or in that company. All right. So I wouldn't use it for any and everything. I think that's how you wear out your welcome, but you do want to use it responsibly. So Hunter.io is a game shifter. I will have a script um, in the PowerPoint for you. So if you want to copy that script, when you are sliding into these people's DMs and sending them email addresses, don't say, "Hey, I applied for this role. Just wanted to reach out and see if you got it." Never say that. Come in soft, come in light. Let them know who you are. Let them know that you saw that they were hiring for the role because they want to automatically know how you got their email and why are you reaching out to them in the first place. I got your email. I saw that you were hiring on LinkedIn. I saw that you were the recruiter for this particular department or this particular role. I wanted to tell you how I am a good fit for this particular role and why I'd like to work in this company. Also, attach your resume because you've already applied, right? You're all going to attach your resume, and then at the very end of that email, you are always going to say, if you think that I too am a good fit and would like to have a conversation with me, I'd be open to it. I've attached my resume for your viewing, and I've also already applied for the role. Right? It's very soft but assertive. Right? I now know what you've reached out to me for, and then leave it at that. If you don't hear anything back, you don't hear anything back. Right? But there are some people who like to see that you are taking initiative with your job search. Okay? So now you now know about Hunter Job Scan, Chat GPT. You know how to use LinkedIn in the way that's very helpful. And then, of course, Elevate. Now, who actively gets into Elevate, right? Not just when we send you a message. Who gets in here and actually looks around, looks for jobs? Let me see in the chat. Anybody's looking? Me? Okay, go ahead, Sharon. Awesome. Now, if you aren't, please do. We post a lot of different jobs. You all have the ability to look for jobs. Yes, we send a lot of emails, but you have the ability to look for jobs. They'll say which ones were just posted. If you are somebody who's in APE, Colleen is always posting APE opportunities here. We've got internships that just come in. Look for those. I'm going to post those soon. We've got a few different things, and they'll always be posted in the latest opportunities, or you could just literally type it in as you would any job search, okay, for anything that you may see. Marlene and Mary, you both have questions. I am going to answer them. Mary, I'll answer your question first. You said, I review these postings from Handshake. No, Mary, this is Elevate. This is your public health platform. Everybody has access to this, and you should have an email. If you don't, let me know. I'll make sure you get to the right point. We've made an appointment Elevate, Mary. Let me know, and I'll let you know how to get back into it. Marlene, however, many of them show out of state. Are you asking how many of them show out of state, or could you clarify your question, Marlene, or come off of mute?
Yeah, I was just saying I do use Elevate, but many of the
Mhm.
jobs that I see posted, they're out of state.
Yes, some of them
Mhm.
are out of state. We have some students that don't live in the state of Georgia who still are attending our program, so we have to keep it open. But there are plenty that do, and you could do an advanced search to filter that out. Okay. Any other questions? Who has filled out their profile? Because we are now, I will say, Elevate has been, I think we're in our third semester of using Elevate now, or maybe yeah, this is the third semester. So we're still building the platform. Our partners are fully on it now, and they are actively looking for resumes. When you fill out your profile, there is an area where you can place your resume. When they're looking for candidates, just like you would find it in Handshake, when they're looking for candidates, they're able to pull your resume. So if you have a resume, please upload it. Add information to your profile, add your job preferences, all those things. Because once we have the proper partners, they will be able to look for you and find you just like any other search platform. Okay. You also can search for them as well. You can also search for classmates, anybody else. You could search for any kind of events, as you know. If you haven't made an appointment, you can make appointments in here. Um, you can find contacts, employers, all kind of things. Just go through it. Take some time to really, really look at it. Don't treat it like I'm just finding a job on LinkedIn. Literally, everything that comes our way are public health related jobs, whether they're adjacent to public health or directly into public health. We have nothing but public health opportunities in this platform. All of the contacts, all of the partners that we work with are public health related. So this is one of the places that I would highly recommend if you haven't really started to dive into the details. You can also place your outcomes here. So if you are getting ready to graduate and you have found an opportunity, let us know. We want to know. That helps with accreditation and it lets us know how we can connect with the employer. We can also start to build our data on where our students are going after they graduate. That's a very, very big deal in order to keep our public health program running. So please, please, please get in here and do the bits and pieces, y'all. Do the bits and pieces. There's so many things for you to get in here. And if you need help and would like assistance going through each step, let me know. I'll make sure to send you some guides so that you can do that. Okay. If you're in applied practice or you're already in or looking to do APE, then you're in here for another reason altogether. You're in applied practice and you're actually just looking for opportunities and filling out your paperwork and all of those type of things. So this is your one-stop shop for the School of Public Health. We do not post anything in Handshake. The opportunities come directly to Elevate.